Hey! Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm back. Let's do this thing. I wanted to do a variation. One sec. I apologize. I forgot to do one thing. Just one sec. Hey, sorry about that. I forgot to pull up the chat bar over here. So, that's what I was doing. But, eh, sometimes you forget. But I wanted to, let me see. Hold on. I gotta get off this one. I was looking for a Topolov, a really good Topolov versus Caruana game about the French advanced variation, and I found one. And so I've been studying the French advanced variation a little bit, and I'm trying to master the French, in all the areas, and I'm using Simon Williams's Killer French course. So, but I saw this when I was just sitting back looking up games, and I was like, I wonder if there's a game that's really good. And then I realized this game is from Fabiano as black and Topolov as white. This is 2016 when Fabiano. Hey, how you doing? This is when Fabiano was 2026 23. And so this is one of, in my opinion, a really good game that he played. So I will turn the board because I want you to see from, come on, there we go. I want you to see from black side the French. And then C5. That's actually this right here, this structure right here. Oh, not here, sorry. That's actually the French. This is the start of the French defense. Then from here there goes into different lines, like the French advance starts there, then there's the Rubinstein variation, then there's the knight to c3 variation. So there's a couple lines that come here, but we're going over the advanced right now, and that's with e5. And then this is how you do it. It's a standard move. Yeah, this is how you actually do. I'm glad you like it. The setup. These moves are just standard. There's no change in them, and if you kind of vary from them, you kind of end up in a bad position. Well, at this point, there's a lot of different ideas that could be played. There's the closed French, which is c4. There's actually knight coming in and queen to b6. But here, Simon Williams taught me about that a waiting move is bishop d7. Bishop d7 is a move that, see, the bad bishop in the French is the light squared. So if you can get this bishop outside the pawn chain, and this bishop actually becomes good. And the goal of the advanced French is actually white wants to hold his center pawns with all of his might. And you have to be careful when you're black to actually take, because if you take too soon, his knight will implant on c3, which is good. You want to either wait till the knight goes to a3 before you take, are D2, knight D2. These are the two spots you want to make sure that you go to it. And if he plays A3, black has two breaks, F6 and C5. So you want to break and open the center really strong. So the goal is for black to break the center down so that his light squared bishop gets better, and the idea for white is to hold the center so he can develop around the spatial advantage on the king side. And so that I just wanted to help you guys with what the French idea is in the French advanced variation. Trust me, it's not an easy thing to master, but it's truly worth it. You can get to an end game really, I don't want to say safely, but confidently. Yeah, that actually bishop to e2 is actually best for white. There's a move bishop d3, which isn't actually best because you could play here, double up the attacks, and it's just not the best for white. White. It actually, he'll lose a pawn. But he didn't go down that line because these guys are 2700, 2800, so they know those type of inaccuracies and lines that they don't want to go down. So yeah, he goes out now. Now that the knight moves to A3, now you take. That's why the taking was played. I wanted to show you guys, let you know why the knight moved to A3. It's also, when this takes, the knight will swing back to C2 and to protect this pawn. So there's a reason that it went A3. It's not going to stay there. But the consequences of A3 is that what black gets to take. So give and take, give and take. White, though, feels like with his knight to whoa, he actually didn't push there. That's, well, I guess he doesn't have to, does he, at this moment, now that I think about it, because he can just a second, hold on. So he from here, 1 second, he actually played H. Interesting. That was that's a idea from Simon Williams pushing Harry. So this all works. And now the idea is to develop your bishop. I mean your knight here. Sometimes let me see. This also stops the knight from retreating here. Knight F5 does a double idea, double attack. So this is a very odd one. I'm not seeing knight B4. I don't really know the purpose of that move, to my recollection. I'm not sure why he played that. Must do something. So we'll continue along and find out. Must be a point to it. So we'll see as we go. Yeah, A6. That's to stop a knight infiltration. And later on, probably B5 will be played. So A6, actually it stops here too. Yeah, it's really odd. These move sequences that they're playing aren't really in line with I guess these are maybe sidelines that they've studied from other other games their seconds might have given them, because I haven't seen, I don't understand why A6 is played. A6, there's no purpose to worrying about there because you have a bishop and a queen. In my opinion, I think that wastes a move, but I kind of see it. He wants to fortify the B5 square so that with a pawn, so his rook could come out. But I think they're just seeing they're posturing. They wants to see who's doing what. And now in comes the knights. So they're going for a more of a king side attack or a queen side attack. It's different for sure. This is a game that, see, I was looking at another game like this. He actually played another game in this tournament round 8. No, it's round 2, and this one is round, I think, 8. Round 2 has a little different one. He played the French twice in the London Classic 2016. So this is kind of a different one. I really didn't get to go over this one fully like I did the other ones. So some of these move sequences I'm still a little curious about. So you gotta bear with me. I really thought I could pull up the using the PGF or PDF, or I hope I'm saying that right, but I couldn't. It wouldn't allow me to for some reason. So I pulled up the best game I could find from Fabiano and Topalov. So funny, funny, funny. Oh, this is interesting. They're developing everything. If you notice, is about development. There's no real worry about castling because the center's locked up. In a closed center, it's about maneuvering your pieces. So maybe this idea is threatening here, threatening here. I know it stops there. He wants to, if the knight moves there, he wants to take, because then there's pawn. And the whole idea of all these moves, guys, is to protect the d4 pawn. So everything's for white about the d4, everything's for black about d4. He also has another break of f6 later on, so watch for f6. It's eventually going to be played. Castle queenside is a good move in this situation, because when you have a pawn that has just been, crammed down your throat to h5, you do not want to castle on that side, because this is going to be a point of attack for black. From white. So king f1, he wants to make sure if there's any, sometimes it's better to have a spot for your bishop to go back, and so maybe the bishop can retreat to e1 later on, and then they could prepare an attack. Who knows? That's just a good prophylactic move, getting your king off of a problem square, because the chance of it being attacked along this diagonal is very rare, because a lot of pieces would have to come out of the way. The knight would, the bishop would have to go here, the knight would take, so there wouldn't be really an attack. So Topalov plays actually strategically smart on that, and he wants to get also out of the fray of a fork too. So good move in my opinion. b8, that's a good move too. b8, king b8 is really good because there's an open file, the c file, and so what's a way to control c file? With a rook. If the king's occupying that square c8, then the rook on d8 can't move over and dominate that file. So you have to look at oops, that was not the move. You have to look at moves that's going to help your position out. So the queen now goes there. Queen goes to d7. D2. Not d7's here. And now the break happens. So it goes f6. Now the f6 break is coming in, and we're going to get to see if Fabiano can fully absorb the center to his advantage. This is going to be interesting. E takes, G takes. Now there's a potential another break of e5. So e5 is a potential break. At this moment it can't be played because you have 2 attackers versus 2 defenders. And so if one of these guys goes, white will win an exchange, and that's not going to be good. So Topalov goes g3, rook g3. Fabiano retreats his bishop back, because if he can get his bishop, there's actually a also there's a move sequence that could get your light squared bishop out. If you can't get it out this way, you can always reroute it like this, and then it comes out. So one way or another it will come out. You just have to do it correctly. And if he can get his light squared bishop out, guys, he's winning. And so he brings, that's actually a really good move, because that prepares to play e5. That's a good move, really good move, in my opinion. Then that also threatens the rook, so e5 is coming for sure. Rook infiltrates in. I don't know if I like that idea for Topalov. I don't really think it's I think that's implanting your rook a little too far in. See, a rook is for taking over files, like ranks and files. It's not really effective if it's this close into the enemy's camp. Plus, how is the rook going to be protected if it gets attacked or trapped? You know, so. Sorry, I just need to drink water. Okay, but that's an interesting idea. And then e5 is played. So d takes e, and then f takes e. Now the center has been absorbed for black. It's all gone. Black now has full central control, and black's basically either equal or winning here. If you can take away the square, the center from white, there you're doing stellar in the French advanced variation. So just keep that in mind. The goal is to absorb all these pawns, to get rid of them, and to keep yours in the center. So, but you have, these are hanging. They're hanging too. So you have to be careful. There's no protectorates to protect these guys. So these potentially could become vulnerable. So it's not like Fabiano, got the center without some type of consequence. He had to take in consideration these two hanging pawns. They could protect each other, but they're still hanging. That's their title. So rook g6, he takes. Very smart idea by Fabiano. He traded off his bad bishop for a knight. But the only sitch with that is, now if the center opens, white has the two bishop advantage. He has the light squared bishop. So you have to think, is the light squared bishop, sacrificing it for the knight, beneficial? I believe it is in this situation, because the white had a knight too close into black's camp, and so sometimes the consequences of losing the two bishops are worth it if you can get to an endgame. And the center is still closed, so it's a semi-closed position. So let's take a look to see what we got here. So what we have to do now is, we'll see he takes, oops, there we go. He takes in the e4. So that takes advantage of the ability of almost trapping the bishop. The bishop's almost trapped here. So now Fabiano's going after the pawn. He's going after every weakness of Topalov. That is the only sitch, though, about having the pawn that advanced. It's potentially you can get it queened. And that's a big thing. That's why Fabiano goes King A7. It's that's kind of risky in my a little bit because of a potential pin. So you just got to be very careful when you put your queen on the same diagonal when there's a light square, dark square bishop like that. So he takes the pawn and knight comes crushing in. Takes, takes. Wow, Topalov really has, I want to make sure that, yep, black still won in this. Topalov has a lot of attack coming down. But Fabiano's got a lot of counterattack. And so the rook moves. They're all getting ready. In comes the other bishop. Bishop takes, takes, and then now the queen can actually come in because there's no more check problems. Even if the queen comes here, you can push, takes, and you're still fine. You still have this passed pawn. Fabiano is winning here, and he wants to trade off rooks, which is an interesting idea. Because if rook takes rook, rook takes rook, queen, check. So this is a interesting sitch for sure. So takes here, takes, pawn push, and I think knight takes, takes, and I think white's winning if I'm not mistaken here. So that was kind of very odd that Topalov didn't take here. I don't understand why he didn't take. Because that's, oh, I think I see why. Because knight takes, knight take. Actually, let's see if you play takes, queen takes. Oh, it's mate. Oh, that makes sense. Makes sense now, doesn't it? I took incorrectly. So that's why he didn't take. Okay. And then rook takes, queen takes, queen takes, check. And if intercepts here, takes, takes, knight comes and this pawn is stopped. These pawns are going to be going, so, and that can't be played because of there, so he's going to have to do something maybe here. But then you have the king infiltrates in. So you don't want to do that yet. Maybe instead of king move, maybe here. I think that's best at this point, because then you'd have to move here to get these pawns going, and then that gives you enough time. I don't know. I think potentially this could actually be a win for. I want to see here because takes, 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 and then at this point he resigned. I want to see what the best move sequence continuation would be. Oh, you just push there. You don't take. And then if you queen, you take, queen. And that's mate. Wow. That is stellar. Okay. I want to go over a game that I just recently played. It was against a 2100. It was a blessing from the Lord that I was able to play good. The training's starting to work. We're starting to get the patterns down, and so I wanted to share this with you guys. So I play the London system, and that's the idea of the London is to go knight to f3 and bishop. See, the bishop, if you played the bishop here, oh, I gotta go to analysis. The bishop here doesn't make any after, let's see, after castles. Bishop, I'm gonna turn that off. Bishop there doesn't make sense because it would be biting on granite. So the correct idea is e2. The reason e2 is then if you want to go Harry, which we're going to go Harry and then push up the board, you now have a battery to protect it. So you have to consider those type of moves, and he's now trying to get material going, his moving of it. And my idea is to control more of the center, so that's why I played. This also allows later on for the push to happen. It doesn't block the c-pawn and the knight move, so there's a whole bunch that goes with it. c5 is played, and I don't want the center to be locked up, so I go d5. The reason is I know he's going to fianchetto his bishop, and now he's looking at this pawn instead of my knight and my g2 pawn. So he goes a6. He wants to go b5, but I go e4 because e4 you can I could play e6, e5, and also it allows for me to be able to retreat back if he plays the silly move h5, knight h5. Knight b to e2. I go h4. Now I'm going along with my plan. He goes h5. h5 is it's a weakening move in my opinion. It allows me to continue my idea. I just drop right in. And my idea is for a sacrifice to come. But you first have to neutralize your opponent's threats. But don't forget about yours. So before, yeah, I don't think that pawn push was the best, because when he did that, he actually lost whatever advantage he had. Because remember, I'm playing on the king side, right? And so if I'm playing on the king side, guys, what do I want to do? I want to lock the queen side up, and so that I can play on the side that I'm strongest. He's strong on the queen side. He should have hacked away at this pawn on c4, so that if I took back with the pawn, he has an open file to infiltrate in. But by closing it up, that helped me. He thought that he's going to put my knight on a bad square. Yes, it does. And I was looking at push. If I go knight b1, he's got a nice discovery here on the rook. I mean on the rook, and it can't move. So the only move that would be playable is a4. And I know you're thinking, doesn't this allow there? Yeah, but you have to remember that yes, he wins here, but I get two pieces for that. I get a bishop and a knight for a rook that wasn't doing anything. And now I have this control. I have so many attackers. I'm actually winning. I could play bishop h6 and say, really? Was that taking of the a rook really worth it? So you have to sometimes look at those things. So he retreated back, and I thought to myself, should I take? Should I not take? And I was like, nope, I'm not going to take. He takes here. I take with the pawn, and now the reason I took with the pawn rather than the bishop is if he plays here, I can just take, or I can even hack away now at the h5 pawn. That's guarded from the knight, so the knight can't come in and protect this attack. If a knight gets in here, the sacrifice on h5 would not pan out, would not work. So he goes e5 instead. I take, takes, takes. Now I'm going to open the king side up. He moves his rook. I take the knight because in a closed game, knights are better than bishops. He takes back, which wasn't the correct move. He should have taken with his bishop, but right here, he should have actually taken there. Check. And I potentially could have played here. I think that's what he was concerned about, was g6, because then he'd have to play here, and I have there takes, and the king would take, and then now I have a check. He has to infiltrate, and then I have play on the king side. All of his pieces. Oh, I can't play bishop. Sorry, that's that'd be a bad move because of this here. So I'd have to play here, and I still have some play. So that's why I took, and taking allowed for me to win a pawn, a very strong pawn, because now I have a passed c pawn, and you'll get to see the c pawn is the pawn that is the thing that destroys the king. He goes knight d6. I retreat back. Now my idea is to get c5 going, c6. If I can get c5, c6, I've now taken tons of space and really stopped his queen side, everything. I still have an attack. He goes a5. I go h, check. Because I want to be able to excuse me. Oh, for some reason I got a tickle. Sorry. Okay. With the check, I want him to be pulled over. My queen will guard that. My queen guards the e pawn, and also prepares maybe to open up. Maybe here, there's a lot more ideas, and c5 is in the air for me. He moves, c5 is played. He comes over, I take, takes, and now the king, this bishop is out of play forever. I just finally shut everything up. The bishop has only basically 2 squares to go to, and my idea is I can always bring a knight in, attacking, and then implanting it right there. So I'm in the driver's seat right now. King to f7. I move my king up. That's not the best move. This move over here, that's the correct move, because if he plays here like I was saying, I can jump in. But what happened when I moved up here, it allowed him to trade off his bishop for my more active knight. And the more trades that come off help him. Because remember, I'm down a piece. Yes, I have 3 pawns for the piece. I have a passed pawn, but I have to be careful about trades. I don't want to take here. See, if he takes here, guys, then I take back. I now have this structure. I'm also guarding the only open file. It's a very strong idea not to take, because if I took here, he would take back, activating his knight over here that's doing nothing. So I move my king in. My idea is if I can get here, I potentially could play here, attack this pawn, keep some pressure. He'll have to have some focus here, and I will guard the queen side and keep it closed with my king. So he has to react to that. I can't play here because if I played there, there's no protection, and I don't want that to happen. So I decided to bring my other rook over because this doesn't make any make any sense anymore, and I'm going to just retreat my king back and reroute it to a better spot. Now my rooks control the two open, half open files where my pawns are too. He moves there, I move my king. He takes, and then when he plays a3, it's kind of funny. A3 is not the best move because it allows my king to go straight back in there. And now I can play a2, a1, rook a1. And if he takes and I take, I now have this strong open file. So I appreciated that he opened this up. It actually helped me. He played there, and so I go along with my plan to control this open file. He plays there. I just bring my rook right in, and it's like, you know what? It's like a welcoming call. Come in, and I'm like, you know what? If you give it to me, I'll take it. See, my idea is to get a rook here, get this rook here, and rook up, so I could double up on this pawn and the bishop. So he plays there because he can't play here to stop the rook because of this pawn. I told you the c pawn is the pawn that really puts a kink in his position. Now I go a1, d to a1. He moves there. I move up here, and then now I double up, and this bishop has to retreat back because if it doesn't, it loses. So he takes first, takes. This structure is still fortified. Now I got two passers, so he's in a world of hurt. There's nothing that he has. He may be up a piece, but his piece has to retreat back. And I want to let you guys see. I want you, my chess viewers, to judge what is the idea here. I want you to make the move for white that makes him resign. There's only one move that causes him to resign. Only one. And I want to give you guys an opportunity to put in what you guys think. There's no wrong answer. Yeah, exactly. You're right. C7 is the correct move. That is correct. Because if he plays something like trying to stop it with c8, you check. And then if he moves here, you can win the rook. The bishop will fall if it goes here. You do a nice beautiful sacrifice. If he comes here, you do a sweet promotion to a knight for mate. So that's checkmate. So if he moves up here, you still take. And if he tries to move his bishop up, you again can actually do a sweet sacrifice. If the bishop takes, you do a discovery check. The king moves. Actually, he infiltrates in, and you come to, let me see, I think you can actually take here. Takes. He moves up here, and then you win the rook, and this pawn will become a queen. The king's infiltrated, and so c7 was the move that ended the entire game. There was no hope after that. There was nothing really he could do. Well, it says here, but then you can actually take. So I see what it's saying, takes there, and then now you're threatening the bishop. It can't come here, can't come there, so it'll have to go there. Then you take here, and now you're just tearing up the position. You have mate 23, so the check there doesn't do anything. You just retreat back. Remember, you want to control this spot here. You want no problems. And you're threatening mate, so he's probably gonna have to play there. And so you even could potentially play sacrifice, just give up a rook if need be, and then this will end up becoming your the thing that destroys him. So there's so much play. C2 makes the game basically over at that point. Come on. Yeah, that's the only move that he could play, mate 24. So I wanted to share that really good game. It was able to defeat a 2100 level player, so we're doing something right by our studies, guys. And so I appreciate that you guys logged in and taught and put something in about this move. That was a great stellar that you saw that. So good job. Let's see here. We'll do a couple puzzles, and then I will. I got to log off for some work tomorrow and studies, so I have both to do. I am, well, it's a gift that the Lord gave me, and so I'm trying to use it for Him. And so, yes, study, it tells you right there, study does make really helps. So when people say that study doesn't help, it does. The reason I was able to see that was because of our end game study, the games that we've been playing out from certain players, your guys' games that you post that we go over, that helps all of us get better. So thank you for doing that. Okay, so we'll do two of these, and then I gotta log. So check there. Oh boy, not good. He's threatening mate. Oh boy, 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 boy. We ought to be fast here. Oh, I see. This is this right here. That's mate. Okay, 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 okay. Oh, wow. Tactic and move 9. That's pretty cool. Let's see here if we might be able to sack our knight. See if knight takes f7, guys. Knight takes f7, king takes f7. Then you have queen to h5 check. Or maybe if we play knight, maybe knight takes, pawn takes, bishop infiltrates with check, king comes up. Huh. Maybe there's something better. Maybe queen to h5. That does a threat of checkmate, but the queen can parry that then. Oh boy, boy, boy. I'm trying to think what would be well played here. Something's telling me knight takes because that forks the. Then the king comes up. Oh man. But maybe if we do play here, then we play knight takes. So if we play here, queen comes up, knight takes, pawn, attacks the rook. If queen takes, then we have bishop to g6 and we win the queen. Oh boy. But what happens if knight takes, king takes on f7, check, the king moves over. We don't have anything after that, do we? I don't see any continuation play. We might, though. There is a potential after here, 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 here. We do have the bishop. Then if pawn takes, we win a rook. Oh man, this is a tough one to choose from. Let's see for just a second. Okay. I'm just going to go with the queen. Wow. I'm surprised he did that. Sometimes I overthink things. Do you think? That was bad English humor. Okay, one more. One more. See, if we play knight here, this knight takes away that square, that square. So if the knight gets to come here, so just place the knight there. So the knight takes there, there. The knight attack here, here, here. So his only move would be there. And I think potentially we have a fork here and there. There we go. Okay, with that, guys, I have to log off. I appreciate that you guys took time to come on. Thank you for putting in and talking and solving the correct move. That was cool. Good job, guys. Keep doing good. Okay, and with that, as Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless, guys. I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Remember, keep studying and keep moving forward with your studies. Bye-bye, guys.